Local Matters. Each week on CBS 17 News at 4, we're sitting down with state and local leaders to discuss issues impacting our communities here in Central North Carolina.
CBS 17's Russ Bowen is here now, and Russ, you sat down with Mark Walker.
Yeah, and you may recall former Congressman Walker was pressured by Donald Trump to drop out of the race to clear room for his competitor, Representative Ted Budd. Now, he's chosen to stay in, though, and says his time outside of office has made things even clearer for him. How different is it watching the state of the country as a private citizen as opposed to an elected official?
Oh, that's a great question, Russ, because going into it, stepping from ministry into politics, you kind of just are consumed with it. You're running a campaign. Before you know it, you're raising your right hand. Being out of it now for about 14 or 15 months is interesting because having worked in the environment and seeing some of the gamesmanship and sometimes even wondering if certain pieces of legislation are more for a PR campaign as opposed to actually benefiting North Carolinians. And it's been a great education kind of being out there among the community. We've traveled somewhere between 65 and 70,000 miles these last several months, almost a year, and have learned a lot. But one of the things that we're seeing is that more and more people are engaging politically. Whereas it used to be just want to work hard, maybe go to church, raise their family, they feel like sometimes the federal government is overreaching and they're trying to figure out a way, how can they push back? What people can they trust to represent them in the U.S. House or the U.S. Senate to be able to accomplish those things?
Prices are skyrocketing with no signs they're coming down soon. Gas prices up a whopping 40%. Furniture, used cars, and electricity also seeing a surge.
If anything we've learned, we knew before the pandemic that this is a global economy, but we have also learned that we are too reliant on the rest of the world for many things. Would you agree with that?
100%. Last 2 years in Congress, I spent as the ranking member on intelligence and counterterrorism for Homeland Security. And one of the things that concerns me is China's deep-rooted involvement now in our businesses in our country. In fact, China now cyber attacks us somewhere between 15 and 20,000 times per day. Much of it's on a grid that controls all the electricity from the Mississippi River to the East Coast. Those are things that we've got to pay attention to because they're not just national security issues, but they're also things as far as we look into the 21st century, this latter part of it, as we get into it, how does that impact our businesses? How does it impact, because we have more of a mindset that we've got to get back to the America first. I'm considered and ranked, if you will, the #1 America First candidate in this U.S. Senate race. What does that mean? It means to make sure that we're energy independent. It makes sure that our goods and supplies, that we're not having to be dependent on other countries in case there are crises. Even recently, we've seen some of this Russia and Ukraine situation. We want to make sure that America is self-reliant.
The conservative majority court has yet to issue an opinion on the larger issue of abortion rights in a Mississippi case challenging Roe versus Wade.
SCOTUS decision on Roe v. Wade, expected May, June at the latest. Sure. Where do you stand on that?
Well, listen, I'm a big pro-life person. I've often said, listen, we want to care about life when it's in the womb. We don't want to forget about life when those children and babies are 2 and 3, 4 months old and they still need support, they still need help. We're going to stand strong for life, never bow away from that. As far as specifically what I think may happen, I think they're going to empower the states more to be able to make those decisions on how each state wants to govern itself. I would applaud that decision.
Does it worry you, though, at all that women will take extreme measures that will not be safe or travel to other countries or hurt themselves when they learn that they're with child and don't want to move forward with the pregnancy?
Listen, anybody that has the potential of doing harm to themselves, it should be a concern. And as a former minister, I can tell you that I've been involved in some very heavy discussions about that. Listen, whether someone has had an abortion or not, as a minister, the grace of God is compassionate. There's still a great plan, a great will for that life. I'm not condemning that individual who in some very difficult times made some tough decisions. But also, I feel like that child, that baby that's unborn at this point, still needs an advocate to be speaking out for them as well. These are not easy decisions, and I fully understand that we would never want somebody to do their harm. And hopefully, and I know many throughout the state, pregnancy care centers and providers that would help and guide and offer the kind of support that's needed in those traumatic situations.
Congressman Ted Budd led the field, bringing in almost 1 million, followed by McCrory, combat veteran Marjorie Eastman, and former Congressman Mark Walker.
We're just an everyday person that God's provided some extraordinary opportunities. What you see is what you get. We don't have all these D.C. super PACs propping us up. In fact, we've not taken a single dollar from a D.C. super PAC. we're going to try to win this Republican nomination without it.
If you win this, there is a lot of healing to do.
Sure.
Correct?
Yes.
Whether it's a position in the Senate or the House, it's among the least trusted professions in America.
Yeah,
How do you fix that?
Look, we're gaining ground on drug dealers, so give us a little time here. So we're closing the gap. I think integrity matters, and I know that's funny to talk about when you're talking about politics. I've tried to lead in a way, I'm not saying that we always get it right, where we're not the most inflammatory, bomb-throwing guy, where there's a little bit more substance than just a PR campaign, that we can talk about our record, whether it's the future acts for HBCUs, whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's reducing the tax burden on individuals as well as some of our companies here in North Carolina. That's who we are. We're going to continue to talk about that, and we believe when people start paying attention, when the dust settles on this, we believe that we're going to come through this as the best candidate, not just to run against the Democrat, but the best candidate and the U.S. Senator to represent North Carolina.
And you know, guys, we talk about how much cash he's got on hand compared to the others, which is really not that much. So he hopes that he can win the ground game by visiting every county in the state, which is 100 counties total. One of the guys we mentioned in that piece, of course, Ted Budd.